Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us, and I trust that your long holiday weekend has been not only restful, resourceful, but caused you to feel, that much more positioned. What's the joke? How many men does it take to screen a light bulb? Well, you want to know what 100 men can do when it seems like 10,000? Well, stay tuned, we'll tell you.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow,
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome, and thanks so much. And the notion that we're reminded us, as Miss Susan tells me again, the theme for next year's celebration, it's going to be voluntary and charitable organizations. And too much is given, much is required. The notion that, we give because it not only makes us feel good on the inside, we can see, the immediate, lasting impact it has on a society. And I'm honored to sit with Adam, with Mike, to talk about the notion of coming together. That sense of giving, but giving with love, giving with a willingness, giving with a purpose. Mike, it's been a challenging year.
Yeah.
This last century. It's been.
You're not wrong.
But if we have one thing above all, love. The agape love that we talk about. There's the eros, there's all other things, and they're important. But at agape love, you draw alongside your fellow being and you work hand in hand, come closer with a heart, with a purpose. It makes a difference, man. It really does. So
it really does. You're getting deep on us.
Yeah,
Ryan.
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, man. You imagine what I do on a Wednesday.
But I completely agree with you. I think, it's love within the community.
Yeah.
It's love for Cayman. It's love for each other. It's love for our community. And when you see people that are suffering, it's almost a human instinct that draws out of you the want to help others. But society and the complications around society confuse that line a little bit. But if we take it back to the basics, 100%. It's about love and protection.
Love and vulnerability, they sort of go hand in hand. I was reminded just earlier, and it's good when I think things transpire in our lives. Milestones, birth, anniversary, graduation, different things. And a friend, she was reminding me earlier, this was when the greenery was a bowling alley. People want to know, but
That's
you
right.
take it back for a while. And there we were volunteering. Just something people did. There was no other purpose than you were willing to give, just like you guys do, right? And it was part of the Special Olympics evening out. And I don't know about you, but we help each other in different ways. Your shoelaces come untied. A friend of you might help. It's not subservient. It's just one. And there we were, tying the shoelaces of our participants. Right? And someone came up and said, the immediacy in which you respond to do that, the helpfulness, the desire, all of this is just tying a shoelace. Now you guys draw alongside and you give your time, you give of your treasure, and you offer up a resource. So Adam, from that perspective, we are where we are in human history. We are able to position ourselves to hopefully make tomorrow and the tomorrows of the next 2 generations even better, whether it's our money, whether it's our time. So how can we bring others to that table to appreciate that? This isn't about volunteering and sacrifice. This is about commitment and investment.
For sure, and about setting an example. Absolutely, and also willing to be vulnerable. It's another big part of giving and of your time and of yourself, because often it really ultimately has to be done without expectation of reciprocation.
That's it.
Where you have to have selflessness, and you have to be willing to fail often. Sometimes when we're trying to do good. And you have to be willing to face the adversity, and you can't always please everybody, but you have to be willing to keep picking yourself up and know that you're part of a greater good and that you're doing something that is going to have a lasting impact, as you said.
Yeah. They say, one man is not an island. Notice they don't say one woman, because one woman's probably 10 islands. But one person is not an island. They say, one person can make a difference. I beg to differ, but collectively, many hands, they say, make light work. So 100 men becomes 10,000 men, becomes 10 million men. The 1 million, man march, for argument's sake. Now, I don't know that people should take it literally when we say man, that we don't mean WOMAN, or we don't mean, humanity, the entire human race. Yeah. But sometimes, like what Adam was sharing, it isn't given because of an ulterior motive. It isn't given because of an expectation that you get return. So we're given because you're sowing good seed. We give. I'm not going to embarrass you, and hopefully you'll forgive me if I draw attention. But both you, individually and collectively, for those of us who know you privately, give quietly. Nobody's asking, desiring any publicity. So I commend you for stepping up and knowing that you don't seek publicity in your private lives, to encourage more men, to stand up and be counted, because sometimes men get a bad rap. Deservedly so, because we don't pick up the mantle. So with this now, 100 men becomes 10,000 men.
Well, you know what? I love what you're saying. Everything you're saying, I completely aspire to, and I figured that in Cayman, say if we're 70,000 people living here, let's safely assume, I'm probably wrong, but I think there are more women in Cayman, but let's just say there's 30,000 men in Cayman. Let's say there's 20,000 men between the ages of 18 and 64 or 65, whatever the retirement age is. Imagine, right, if we had 10,000 men turn up on a quarterly basis with $100 each. Or, if you don't have the money, perhaps you've got the time. Imagine if every single month the individuals that don't have the money do participate in delivering Meals on Wheels, or walking the dogs as a humane society, or supporting some other charity or community event, because time is money.
Yes.
And some people have got lots of time and no money, and some people have got lots of money and no time. And the 100 Men That Care program is designed to make it very efficient, to be a part of something bigger, to be a part, to have that. Nobody can see us, we're on the radio, but my arms are closed across my chest.
Social distance hug.
But if you close yourself off and you're greedy and you're closed off like this, you're actually closing yourself off to the outside world. But if you actually give, that concept of giving, and you open your arms out, you're opening yourself to goodness, and you're being vulnerable, and you're being open to receive, and you're not doing this to receive, but by giving your worth to others will receive. And so anyway, as you've heard me say this before, Sterling, that I'm a firm believer that we all have to participate in our community in one way or another, and we don't really have any excuse not to participate, because you can't say I don't have any money. Fine, you don't have any money, you got time. You can't say you don't have time. We've all got time.
And I like that you say that, and the notion that, you said imagine. Was it John Lennon? Imagine people. Imagination, creativity sometimes propels great invention and innovation. Sometimes that desire, that willingness to embrace something that is, what do we say? Oh, think outside the box. No, just think. And you are right. There are many of us who have a lot of money, but we may not necessarily believe that we all have time, when in fact, again, I could be completely off. But I think all of us, irrespective of our financial status, our wealth, our ethnicity, our geography, we all have the same amount of time. How are we using that time? And our wealth does not allow us to buy even a nanosecond. So we have time. How are we utilizing that? Yeah, I don't know about you guys, and I'll confess publicly that sometimes I say to my friends, I want to come look for you, but I don't have time. Well, no, I do. I just haven't made it a priority to sit and have a coffee. Let's go fishing. Let's just take a walk on the beach. And then sometimes we're made to feel guilty because we're taking an hour or an afternoon or a weekend to spend time with somebody. I heard a friend share a poem on the weekend that said, don't give me these things when I'm not here. Don't come look for me in the morning with my family because, I'm not here. Come now instead and spend time with me. And this is what I commend you for. You're willing to take, let's be conscious and respectful of time, an hour, 2, and do something productive. So, Adam, are we sowing seed for future generations? We look forward to the birth of our children, their graduation, their career development, their other milestones. But if we don't sow seed now and make time, what's the point?
He says to the new father, I've just recently joined your ranks, so these are certainly things that I'm contemplating on the sleepless nights now.
Good for you.
Yeah, I know. One of us. To what you said, and I'll try and work that into the answer to your question. I always say the same thing as well. We all have 24 hours in a day. What we don't have are the same priorities, and that is what makes us very unique is those priorities and understanding that it is a choice to wake up in the morning and spend your 24 hours saying, I'm lucky, I'm blessed, I have so much to be thankful for. And it's also a choice, and people are far less fortunate than others, but it's also a choice to wake up and say, I can't because of this.
Right.
So as far as instilling to the next generation, understanding that everybody has 24 hours in a day. And we're selfish by nature. But I think that even philanthropy, I've argued before, philanthropy still comes from being selfish in nature, because when you do something good for somebody else and you get that adrenaline rush and your heart is racing, that is still a very personal feeling. That is a very selfish feeling. But I hope more people get that emotional reaction to doing good for others. So establishing those 24 hours in a day and firmly establishing what those priorities are, and not feeling bad if you don't want to go meet with a friend, but be honest with yourself. If you don't want to go help somebody move, be honest with yourself. Those are your priorities, but we all have the same 24 hours in a day. Indeed. So we're here obviously today to try and convince a few more people with 1 hour 4 times a year that they can commit to doing something that has a duplication effect, and get as many people in the room during an hour, because really it doesn't get any easier than this in order to do good.
Well, cognizant of the time, I'm also respectful of your time. When we come back from the break, let's just make that invitation. Let's remind people when, where, and how, and the ease with which, but also the impact that 1 hour, 4 times a year, what that can mean, not just for your friendships, but for the community.
Yep.
All right, we're going to pause and take a break, and when we come back, less than 15 minutes, and we'll tell you how, 15 minutes can not just save you 15%.
I saved a bundle.
So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Families are like branches on a tree. We grow in different directions, yet our roots remain deeply intertwined as one. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, has remained stable, strong, and deeply rooted in the community. The past 2 years have been very difficult, but they have taught all of us the value of family and embracing our loved ones. This 2022, Savannah Pharmacy encourages everyone to get in touch with your roots, embrace your heritage, show some extra love to your neighbor, and make the year a memorable one. Time is precious. Cherish it and those you love. Savannah Pharmacy, always just around the corner, with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336 or WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic.
Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh. You can now book and pay online for your certified lateral flow test at www.hsa.ky/appointment. It's fast, easy, and convenient. Certified LFTs are $25 per test per person. HSA's testing center is located at 131 Center, McClendon Drive, behind Foster's Airport. Walk-ins for certified LFTs are also available. Need a PCR test for travel? These are now only $75. Visit hsa.ky/appointment for more information.
It's Wealth Talk time again at the Jamaica Stock Exchange Regional Investments and Capital Markets Conference with the best and brightest minds in the business and financial sectors, helping companies strategize their success and create networking opportunities with renowned business leaders. Join us in our 17th year at the home of the conference, the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel, Kingston, January 25 through 27, 2022, under the theme Positioning Capital for Growth, facilitating, mobilizing, and expanding. Register now at jamstockx.com or call 876-967-3271, courtesy of Jefferies, NCB Capital Markets, TVJ, and Jamaica Observer.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us as we talk about the impact of many hands making light work. I say this respectfully, hopefully responsibly, but I say it with an apology. It takes only one hand to beat yourself on the chest. It takes two hands to clap. And Mike, Adam, you remind us of the importance of how we should use our time, our talents, our treasure collectively to make a profound, meaningful impact in our society. And sometimes we don't know how to, make what we do meaningful. I think you provided a very easy, simple, entertaining, and long-lasting way of unifying our strengths, bringing together. So 100 men, making a difference. Tell us, for those who want to be a part of it, those who haven't for a while.
Thank you so much. 100men.ky. Mm-hmm. It's very simple. The concept is that you turn up once a quarter, that's once every 3 months, with 100 CI dollars, and you sit down with a group of other guys, as many as possible. We're aiming to get over 150, maybe even 200 guys coming in on Thursday. And we sit down and we listen to 3 different local charities give a 5-minute pitch. And then right then and there, the membership votes on who they feel the recipient of all of our money should be. And basically it ends up being, it could be Meals on Wheels, for example. They were one of our first recipients. And 250 guys turned up that one event. They got 25,000 CI dollars for a 5-minute pitch. And it took us 1 hour of my time over a 3-month period.
I mean, this is like Shark Tank on steroids.
It is incredible. Now, Dwayne, I'll also go as far as say we've done 19 quarterly sessions. And in those 19 hours, because it's 1 hour per quarter, we raised 260,000 CI dollars for our local community. And it's incredible. I could turn up to Meals on Wheels, Feed Our Future, and give them $100 if I had a spare $100, and they'd be grateful. Thank you very much, Michael. That's really, really nice of you. But not real any impact there. But if 2 of us turn up, it's 200. If 10 of us, it's 1,000. 200 of us, $20,000. Now you're talking about proper change, proper impact.
Yeah.
And we are in a very typically lazy male sort of way, not really doing much.
The word you're looking for is efficient.
Efficient.
Thank you.
No,
problem.
but I'm joking when I say that, but we couldn't make it any easier.
Yeah.
We walk around town and we see the injustices of society and the community and how it's suffering here and there, but we don't have the right to moan about it if we're not part of the solution to do something about it.
But something that you share in that I think should not be ignored. Not only are you collectively making a meaningful impact that is long-lasting, but you're building bridges, personal bridges in your lives that could lead to all sorts of things. Perhaps the most significant is that long-lasting friendship that you can have that can transcend generations and borders. Just the other day, we had a chance to talk to directly, as an example, Meals on Wheels. They're going out in the community and they're delivering hot meals. And everything aside, two things are immediately apparent. One, there's a level of connectivity. So you're delivering this and you're saying hi to somebody. So there's something that's going there. If nothing else, you're becoming aware of what's happening. Somebody's checking on somebody. Secondly, by doing that, you're seeing, this yard could use a little bit of attention. This house may need something. Then you can connect up, maybe even through your own membership of a service club or your corporate entity doing a charitable and service day or something, and go back to that home or another home in that community that could use a little painting, maybe a wheelchair accessible ramp. There's so much that you can do that 1 hour, that 5 minutes, that willingness to open your eyes and let it touch your heart. How it impacts that community, it makes you stronger. And this is what the next generation wants as an example, but it's what they deserve because we're showing respect for the sacrifices of our people, whether they came from, somewhere far land or they were just 2 doors down from where you grew up. I mean, Adam, this is, for men, even a caveman can understand this. I'm just kidding. But this is what makes it fun, right? Efficient.
Efficiency, for sure. And this is, obviously, it's 100 Men, 100men.ky. You can go and certainly find out some more information. And we've been asked numerous times, can women show up? There are some absolutely incredible initiatives on island that are done by women. And let's be honest, most of them the majority are run by strong, passionate women. And this is really an opportunity. When we looked at doing this, we thought it was about time that men stepped up. The guys put their hand in the air and said, we can also make an impact. We can also make a contribution. So I don't think it's gone as smoothly as as it could have, but we've done the best that we can with the time that we have, and certainly we've have a lot to do with thanking those that have been so supportive like yourselves.
Can I share some with you? And a lot for public correction and guidance, right? Because I think many of us are competitive. For some reason, there's a perception that men, for some reason, are more competitive than others. It may not be the case, but for some reason, I had the pleasure of having a book in my presence, and I read it. It's a simple book. It talks about how we should use our time and how we should prioritize and how we should value the things and get our life in order, as it were. And it talked about relationships. So if you were to just use it on your partner, if each of you competitively and in a good way try to outlove the other one. So you're not asking for anything in return. You're giving all to your partner giving all to you. In the end, you like what I say, a rising tide floats all ships. Nobody is, at a loss. Everybody's better off. So as men, maybe the 100 women that care, maybe it's the other service clubs, it may be some of the charitable philanthropic endeavor. If we now try to outgive in that competitive way, outdo in a better way, how much better it's going to be, even individually, but imagine collectively?
Yeah.
What a challenge. I mean, what a way to take up the mantle for this year.
It reminds me, I saw a Netflix series called The Playbook. And it's 5 or 6 different episodes of different sports coaches. Mm-hmm. And one of them, they were having a really rough time. And he raised this concept called Ubuntu. And it's an African tribal term that I can only ever be my very best if you try to be your very best.
For example, going to the tree and how to share the spoils and
We're in this together. I can only ever be the very best that I can be if you are also the very best. This is teamwork.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's that same concept with the community, that if we all put in a little bit extra, we can't expect everybody to be perfect, but if we can get everybody to be a little bit more participative in our community, just do a little bit more, and if we can all strive to be a little bit better in supporting whatever it may be, and maybe this isn't the platform for you, that's fine. Maybe you like the galas, then embrace the galas. Maybe you like walking dogs, whatever your thing may be, as long as you're doing something. That's what I would beg and pray for our fellows.
Yeah, man, I join you that.
Yeah.
Let's take one call for a discussion, and as we wrap it up, you can remind us when, where, and how. But Michael and Adam, we go to the phones. Welcome, good afternoon. Thank you for calling.
Yes, good afternoon, Dwayne, and good afternoon to your guests.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
I haven't spoken to anyone from the 100 men, but it's just that I would like to know that when you say 100 men and 80 show up, we still be happy. But are you involving any of the younger men in this, like most of the service clubs do, and to get them more involved, to let them know that this world is not all about a push button someplace and it's automatically done. You can, since it's a volunteer, I know, I understand, because I doing work down here in West Bay that is only volunteer. Families are not families like how they used to be, sir. And some families do not help out in any way, which they could, but they don't. Their noses is up in the air, and they don't. But I would like to know if you have young men involved in this, and I could go on with so many things, little things that have elderly people that they can no longer do. And we have to remember that those elderly is the ones that kept Cayman going many, many, many years ago. And now they can no longer do what they used to do. So I'll be happy, and I would pray that you do have some people involved in this that are younger, like your host there named Dwayne Bank.
He's still young.
A young man like that.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Ma'am, thank you very much. You raise a very interesting point, and I think that's part of our and I'll share the frustration. I'll use that word as well, that the concern that we're not all carrying our weight in a community. We would love for nothing more than 50% of the population of Cayman, or at least 100% of all the men in Cayman, to participate in our platform or any other community efforts. But I agree with you 100%. You know, if the younger we can get participants in any form of charity and community effort, the better it will be for the long term. That's an investment into our future, because it also means that they're there to protect the elderly who were there when they were younger, looking after, so it's an ecosystem that is very sensitive, and it takes everybody to participate in it for it to be a healthy environment, a healthy ecosystem. But I don't know if I'm answering your question other than to say I agree with you, and our efforts are designed to get as many people of all ages to participate in our community, and ideally with this particular platform that Adam and I are a part of. It's not just us two. There's a bunch of other guys in the background doing all sorts of things to help make this happen. We just happen to be, I suppose, the spokespeople. But young and old, Doesn't matter where you're from, how much money you've got, how much money you don't have, you do have. It doesn't. We're in this together, and our healthy community is dependent on as many people participating in it as possible.
Mm-hmm. Thanks very much for that, Mom. I think those are the sort of reminders and almost admonition as I listened to our share and I was reading from our WhatsApp message talked about in this time when we hear these things. I'll insert a little paraphrase that we see this as the sort of the feel good thing, but we understand the importance of what it means to actually do something. And I'm not quite sure, how to read this if it was intended, but as I look at it and I read it over again, I think there's a call to action. There's something about what's happening in human history now that many of us feel our conscience being a little bit sort of, I use the word pricked, we're being spurred that no matter the wealth, no matter the legacy, we're not going to make a difference unless we do something.
Yeah.
And it does, and to the caller's point, if the household, obviously there's changes and dynamics in every generation, but if we're not teaching the younger generation what giving looks like or what service looks like, it certainly starts in the home. But if it's not there, then I think she's absolutely right. How do you create the opportunity to teach the next generation what that looks like if they're not getting it in the house? And it's no nothing to be said for any of the wonderful families. It's just if they don't then know themselves, how do you teach? How do you pass on something that you yourself don't know how to do?
But I think that as we close, I think we got to recognize that deliberately and directly, intentionally or otherwise, we're always teaching. If we saying to our friends or co-workers, to our children, that we don't have time for something, whatever that thing is,
you're setting the example.
You're setting the example,
good or bad,
right? Yep. And if you consciously, I don't want to embarrass my daughter, but some of the greatest memories I have is that on a Saturday mornings, she's got school like all children. We would get up super early and she was excited. We would go and do community work. Not because you needed service for school. Right? That wasn't it. It was the idea that you were doing something meaningful. And that humility, the sense of humanity, the sense of pride that you got by being of value to, like what I'm sharing, man. So I commend you guys, man. Thank you for that.
We one of our recipients was a heart transplant for a child. Dwayne, I can't tell you. All right. The impact that had on pretty much every single man in the room that participated in that. It's when you save a child's life, and most of us are fathers, and even if you're not a father, you're pretty touched by this. This is really deep stuff.
You're
and
they
come back a quarter later to show us the video of where our money went. And the first images are this child, poorly child, dying in a bed. And then they show the impact of our money and this child bouncing and kicking a ball and full of life and color in his skin. It's incredible.
Yeah, man.
And the joy that you get, the fulfillment, the sense of accomplishment, the heart felt energy that you get from that, it inspires you to do more. I want to be a part of this again. Let's do another. Let's just be a part of something special. And I just implore for your listenership, your audience, to be vulnerable. Come, step up. It's Thursday this week, 6 p.m. at Mizu at Cayman Bay. It's outdoors, so it's safe, clear air, lots of parking, and it's $100. And the sponsors, we've got so many sponsors that have participated to make this happen. Every single penny that we help raise stays in Cayman, for Cayman.
That's definitely important to add, 100%, and that's really our mandate. If it costs us money to do it, we don't do it. So it's a member-led initiative. So 100% of absolutely every single dollar that's raised goes directly to the recipient charity.
And that's why we're so grateful to you and your show. You're consistently a supporter for us, and you give us the opportunity to reach your listenership, and we hope we inspire them to step up and join us.
Yeah, $100 If it's okay, if it's a phone call, whether it's next Friday or it's a week later or whatever, right? If you so choose, give me a heads up. Even if you don't, just call in and say, hey, can I take a couple of minutes? You'll gauge it and say, these are the presentations, this is the recipient. Share, because I think more of us, I'm sorry, getting choked up, and I think back, not just as a father, but just as a person. I think I'm living and breathing to feel that impact that we can have individually but collectively. especially now. There's a lot of stupidness happening in this world, and some of that is by some of us in leadership positions who mean well. Some of us just misguided by greed. Some of us are just, I'm not going to go there, but
short-sightedness. It's a debatable thing.
Exactly, but we can make a difference.
We can, and we are actually making a difference. And if you want to experience that feeling of being a part of good, positive, long-term change, then do something. Come join us. Enjoy it. It's fun, man. I'm telling you, it's fun. It is fun.
And
we have good laughs. You meet new people. You see old friends. It's cross-cultural and socioeconomic energies and it's good. It's healthy. It's a very healthy place for our community to grow and be successful.
It's kind of going to your graduation prom, but you're not mature. It's not your high school reunion.
Yeah, exactly.
Gents, thanks very much. Right?
Thank you so much.
Please, if you wish, take up the offer to call and share if you so choose.
Yeah, man. We'd love
Looking forward to chatting with you again, and congratulations for being willing to step up, to encourage, to motivate, and to share. So thank you all. Have a truly blessed, productive rest of the week.
Thank you so much. You too. Take care.
Let's pause and take a break, and let's say thanks to Miss Susan. Can you imagine? This lady has to put up with me almost every day. Ay. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
How do I lose weight and keep it off?
I can't just eat salads. Have you tasted my family's rundown? And oh, what about the turtle meat?
These are common questions I hear from people when it comes to weight loss. Learn how to lead a healthier lifestyle, the one you desire, and successfully manage your weight with my proven step-by-step process and my new book, New Shoes, A Journey of Self-Discovery.
Working with Donna has helped me create a healthier lifestyle. Old habits are no longer a challenge. If you're looking for help in managing life, reducing weight, and maintaining a lifestyle that fits your wellness goals, Donna Mitchell is the coach you need.
New Shoes, A Journey of Self-Discovery has been tried and tested on hundreds of participants in the Cayman Islands and is available on Amazon and Kindle. Order your copy today. Visit inspiredwithdonna.com for more details.
Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected. This is how we wake you up in the morning.
Praise time on Radio Cayman. Praise time.
Jesus in the morning. I will. So send me, Lord, I will go. Born again. Thank God I'm born again.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Talk today. but I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thank you for joining us. I know it's interesting. We live in this space, in this place, and for some of us, our lives revolve around our spouses, our partners, our children. The sun rises and sets on them. And for some of us, there's no life beyond the shores of Cayman. And by that I mean, the Brack and Little Cayman as well. And if you were in the Bracken this weekend, you would see what I say that. And for others, there's no life unless you're outside the Cayman Islands. So it takes all kinds and all sorts. But the notion is, if we make hay while the sun shines, if we look at, and you can take me to task, I have no issue with that, because I can only be better if you improve me and make me, better. And I'm willing to be better. But think about it. If we live and work here, whether we've been here for generations, whether we've only been here for, just a fleeting moment, if you make your space better, think about it. Is it not better? I mean, I didn't say make it more. I said make it better. No. As we get ready to head into our news break, perhaps Adam and Michael's, invitation and reminder of the importance of collectively working together. Sometimes we allow the enemy to steal our joy. Sometimes the happiness is in the arms of another. Sometimes and by that, please don't think of any other than, the child being held by the parent. But the parent holding that child, that joy, that feeling of fulfillment, of safety, of security, of motivation, of willingness to serve and to sacrifice. And if we would approach that in such a way, think of that adult serving as a mentor, whether it's a part of a formal program like those that exist that we can volunteer, and you're able to nurture, to love, to guide, to direct, to counsel, to assist that younger mind, that younger person, maybe to make some of the choices you made because they were beneficial to your success in life, not just your career, but avoiding the missteps of friends and family. But equally important, to share with them your experience in particular, but also your expertise, so that they don't make some of the missteps that you made or you saw being made by others. And doesn't mean that they will necessarily take your advice or not themselves have to experience it for themselves, but at least they have a point of reference. And back to the invitation of collectively coming together, whether it's 100 men, or whether it's your service club, PTA, your community, your family, your corporate entity, or even your individual effort. If it's done in love, in a sense of willingness to make it better, think about how much better it'll be. All right, let's hit the news. When we come back, if I can, I'll try to listen to Susan. If I say, nah, let's do it this way, well, maybe she might say, hold a minute, do I give you that authority? Well, let's negotiate. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The RCIPS is bidding farewell to recently retired Special Constabulary Commandant Chris Duggan after 22 years of service as a member of the RCIPS Special Constabulary. Duggan will soon be traveling to Washington, D.C., where he will take on the role of the Cayman Islands Government Representative for North America. As of January 1st, former Deputy Commandant Arthur McTaggart, a special constable with over 20 years of service, has taken over as the new commandant for the Special Constabulary. In international news, Ukraine's leaders sought Tuesday to reassure the nation that an invasion from neighboring Russia was not imminent, even as they acknowledged the threat is real and received a shipment of U.S. military equipment to shore up their defenses. Moscow has denied it is planning an assault, but it has massed an estimated 100,000 troops near Ukraine in recent weeks and is holding military drills at multiple locations in Russia. That has led the United States and its NATO allies to rush to prepare for a possible war. Pfizer and BioNTech have begun a clinical trial for their Omicron-specific COVID-19 vaccine candidate. They announced in a news release on Tuesday. The study will evaluate the vaccine for safety, tolerability, and the level of immune response as both a primary series and a booster dose in up to 1,420 healthy adults ages 18 to 55. And New York State education officials told school administrators to continue enforcing the state's mask mandate for students and teachers Tuesday, despite a ruling from a judge overturning it, causing confusion as some districts rushed to make masks optional. The education department said the state had filed notice that it would appeal Monday's ruling by a judge on Long Island, a step that could keep the rule in place at least until its planned expiration February 1st. Those are your latest headlines. I'm Shanda Gallego.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
James Nathaniel Tibbetts, J.P., 1886 to 1967. Mr. Nat Tibbetts was a renowned shipbuilder, businessman, justice of the peace, and citizen of Cayman Brac. He was loved and respected throughout the island and was often consulted by people facing crucial decisions and difficulties. With his father, James Tibbetts, and his brothers, Burdett and Ross, he built and sold 11 sailing ships during the early 1900s. After losing his right arm in his mid-40s due to fish bristle infection and the death of his brothers, Mr. Nat operated a store and pioneered in the production of soft drinks, supplying all 3 Cayman Islands for almost 25 years. His plantations provided employment for others and provisions for his and his brother's family. Mr. Nat was a role model for his sons and other young men of the community, teaching them, along with the principles of carpentry, boat building, navigation, and seamanship, a good work ethic and the value of respect and perseverance. He and his beloved wife, Elsie Nee Hunter, with whom he had 7 children, set high standards for their family by emphasizing a Christian lifestyle.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Families are like branches on a tree. We grow in different directions, yet our roots remain deeply intertwined as one. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, has remained stable, strong, and deeply rooted in the community. The past 2 years have been very difficult, but they have taught all of us the value of family and embracing our loved ones. This 2022, Savannah Pharmacy encourages everyone to get in touch with your roots, embrace your heritage, show some extra love to your neighbor, and make the year a memorable one. Time is precious. Cherish it and those you love. Savannah Pharmacy, always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336 or WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045.
It's Wealth Talk time again at the Jamaica Stock Exchange Regional Investments and Capital Markets Conference with the best and brightest minds in the business and financial sectors, helping companies strategize their success and create networking opportunities with renowned business leaders. Join us in our 17th year at the home of the conference, the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel, Kingston, January 25 through 27, 2022, under the theme Positioning Capital for Growth, Facilitating, Mobilizing, and Expanding. Register now at jamstockx.com or call 876-967-3271, courtesy of Jefferies, NCB Capital Markets, TVJ, and Jamaica Observer.
Talk today. but I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And this is where sometimes, we recognize not only the reach but the importance of building bridges that span not just across, our islands, across the region. And as we build greater strength within the Caribbean and Latin American region, we recognize the importance of the leveraging, our resources. In order to be able to now go to our phones and have a discussion with Mr. Patrick Barclay as we talk about the opportunities that may exist through the various stock exchanges. There's a 17th Regional Investments and Capital Markets Conference coming up between the 25th and the 27th. So if I look at the calendar, yesterday was my niece's birthday, so that must mean today's the 25th. Mr. Barclay, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good, and yourself?
Blessed. I say that proudly and deliberately, hoping that people would appreciate that, from whom much is given, much is required, and through blessings of health, strength, the wealth with the presence of, mind, not just intellectual, but groundedness. We can do great things if we work collectively together,
That's a 30-second sermon right there.
Amen, brother. Amen. But I appreciate you taking time out of your very busy day, especially now as the conference is ongoing, to remind us that together we can actually improve the lives of many. And as I look at, your investment fund, the notion that statistically our, sort of census surveys indicate that we live in a world, generally speaking, in a developed world, of an aging population. So things like assisted living, things like looking after our health as we get into the active aged years are crucial for our quality of life. And
no question.
So share with us. Help us to appreciate, something's happening. Cayman Airways flight away, but it could be literally 2 doors down from our offices.
Well, quite ironically, one of the catalysts for what we decided to embark on started with a woman who was a Jamaican physician. She's a noted anesthesiologist by the name of Dr. Marsha Chong, who actually spent quite a bit of her professional time in recent years working with the group that has the cardiac, the world-renowned cardiac center that you guys have there in the Caymans. And being from Jamaica, she had an uncle that was aging, and she was looking for a good place to find where he would receive both a certain level of living experience as well as a certain level of medical care, and she could not identify anywhere that she, as a physician here in Jamaica, that she would feel comfortable with her uncle residing. And it was during a time when I was having similar issues with my parents. They were in the U.S. They wanted to come back to the Caribbean and spend some time. My mother was a dialysis patient. And to find the level of care that she would need to have a good quality of life here in this environment, we could not readily identify someplace that we would feel comfortable in. So with having a real estate background and having folks in my family that were physicians, we decided to take advantage of something that was being pushed by the Jamaican Promotions Corporation, and that was the expansion of their tourism product to look at areas of medical tourism. And we decided that one of the areas that we felt like we could add value here in the region was specifically in the area of establishing senior and assisted living facilities and wellness. And we've never looked back.
And I commend you for that, because I think we're seeing, and just generally speaking, that many governments, many prospective entrepreneurs, we coined the term medical tourism, and we have all sorts of qualifiers before the word tourism, but it's important. And when we think of whether they're quit facilities or whether they're facilities that offer independent living. But they have to be active. They have to be properly resourced that gives the level of independence, but provides that level of care that we would need as we, get on into our years without having to give up our independence.
Absolutely.
All right. So help us to appreciate, for some of us, we are very active in our investment portfolios. We are very concerned not just for providing for us beyond a certain age to maintain a certain lifestyle, but we want to build a legacy for future generations. So we're looking at different investment options, understanding, the potential that may come from and what the economists and the financial advisors talk about, the growth sectors and the like. And we want reputable instruments. We want reputable stock exchanges that list these instruments. With this 17th, regional investments conference, what are some of the potential benefits for those who are listening that may consider moving forward?
Well, as you may know, the Jamaican Stock Exchange, both in 2015 and 2018, was recognized by the New York Stock Exchange and Bloomberg as one of the fastest growing stock exchange in the world at the time. 2, the most well-managed stock exchange in the world, and it continues to hold that reputation. Dr. Marlene Street Forrest and her team up there, the wonderful board that she has created a world-class investment environment. It's very well regulated, very well managed. And as a result of just how well regulated and well managed it is, and just how well recognized it is around the world, it's the place that we decided that we would work very hard in 2022 to place ourselves as a public entity on that particular exchange. You talk about legacy, and there's no getting around the fact that even in the investment community, going forward, things are going to be moving towards digital securities, a digital platform.
Mm-hmm.
So the Eastern Caribbean Exchange, the Jamaican Exchange, and shortly the exchange in Barbados, as well as Trinidad, are all moving towards having digital securities on their platform. And our firm is one of the first, or is among that first group of entities approved by BlockStation, which is the digital provider for the exchanges, to be listed both in the Eastern Caribbean Exchange and shortly on the Jamaican Exchange.
For many people, I mean, we may avail ourselves of, back in the day, I guess we talk about unit trusts. Today we talk about mutual funds. We may try to position our retirement either through our pensions or individual sort of collections in a way that gives us a sense of security as best as we can, and knowing that the facilities have a level of credibility. In this instance, if we're looking at investing, 2 things initially. The market capitalization that you maybe initially targeting was what, and where you are in relation to achieving that thus far?
Our market cap for our specific firm is $300 million U.S., which we intend to get to by December 2023. At present, we have at least 3 investment banks vying for the opportunity to be our broker. I won't embarrass anybody by listing them, but what I will say is between the 3, the top one is prepared to put almost $100 million U.S. worth of debt and equity on the table for us.
Okay.
So it's a very, very active marketplace right now for us.
Okay. So you're looking at a market cap of $300 million, and you're where now? You're still in the preliminary stages, or have you secured a portion of that?
We're evaluating which of the opportunities for us will be the best one. We personally have already invested over $20 million U.S., and so we have a strong footing that we've launched out on. We've actually acquired a few properties here in the region. We have others that are under contract. We found an existing assisted living facility that was already licensed, but it's antiquated, and so we're taking the building down. We've designed a new facility for it. We have a health and wellness, a true medical spa facility going up in the Montego Bay area. And in the BVI, we have a resort facility that will also have health and wellness attached to it, and also be retirement living oriented as well.
Okay. And this is where I think, like anything, in a point, you have to take calculated risk. I mean, many of us are risk averse, and we try to figure out how to leverage what we have. But with that, nearly 20 million, as you reference, is that leverage or is that equity?
Oh, that's equity. We are definitely at risk in all that we do, because if we're not at risk, how could we expect anyone else to be at risk?
Have some skin in the game, huh? As they say.
Yes. In addition to that, just having a Caribbean background, one of the things that I know for certain is we're accustomed to, I'll use the term coupon clipping, that we'll buy that bond, we'll buy that financial instrument, and we know every year, because we have that particular instrument, we're going to get that dividend check, whether it comes once a year, once a quarter, twice a year, and that's what we're accustomed to. But the real growth tends to happen on the equity side of the market. We can't be afraid to diversify our portfolios, making sure that we have enough opportunities for growth on that side. And I'll never forget Michael Lee Chin from NCB Bank a few years back saying, there's so much opportunity in the Latin American Caribbean region for growth, and other people come, they see the opportunity, but we who live here, we who are from here, we who have roots here, don't take advantage of it, but other people see it and they come in, they invest, and they do exceptionally well. And it doesn't take $20 million to make the first investment. It might just be that first $1,000 that somebody has to open that brokerage account and get started. You need to make sure that happens.
I guess as you were sharing, we were reminded of the adage, and sometimes you can't see the trees for the forest. And, coming into a space new, perhaps with prior experience, you might be able to see the opportunities for those who are living close. We're so close to it that we never appreciate it. I guess, success is where opportunity meets ambition. Today, tomorrow, and I believe, the day following, over these 3 days, many times we build bridges, we forge partnerships, both personal and financial. Where do you see the region, your own sort of corporate and entrepreneurial endeavors, and perhaps as the geopolitical landscape unfolds, but then the socioeconomic implications of all that is happening now, the last 2 years, and foreseeably for the next decade? What would be your outlook if you had to be asked to share that perspective, and what would it be buoyed by?
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see it, follow the trends, and see what's going on. There was a time when people were afraid of investing in the Caribbean because of the recent hurricanes. Since then, COVID has hit. And even though, for example, today there was a new list, and of course, the U.S. put most of the countries in the Caribbean on the list of places where you just don't want to go because the level of COVID is so high. But by the same token, people that actually know the truth and have some resources, while that's going on, they're investing here in the Caribbean. And they're investing in the Caribbean because the environments are smaller, the land is more open, there's more opportunities for them to feel safer in a smaller environment than in some of the big cities that they reside in. So while one thing is happening on one side, you have to pay attention to what's going on the other side, because people value sometimes more from other places what you have than we value it ourselves.
Right. But isn't that sort of speaking to the emerging geopolitical landscape? The U.S. will sometimes, as you know, the EU, whether through the OECD or other entities, assign labels, lists, and forge perceptions because of maybe caution or maybe because of ulterior motives. So those in the Caribbean who have experienced it, live in it, feel it, are you now saying that we now need to embrace it and appreciate that, what your eyes tell you, don't let your ears deceive you?
No matter what you may hear from one source, when they tell you to look to the right, you also need to be looking to the left, looking up and looking down, just to have a more complete picture of everything.
Well, this is where I believe, as we were sharing outside, building those bridges, leveraging the resources, respecting that within the Caribbean region, whether we want to go to a historical context or whether we want to look at, future proofing. How do we now get, if you were making that sort of call to action, how do we now get the entrepreneurs that are established here, the budding entrepreneurs who want to branch out, to even some of the policy advisors, to governments and NGOs and to, if I could put it this way without it being offensive, to put not just our money, but our resources, our time, our effort, our hands to the wheel, and let it be something productive and positive so that future generations can benefit as we have from that service and sacrifice of past generations?
Well, I think it starts just on an individual level, like with the dialogue that we're having right now. When we were putting our team together, quite ironically, the bulk of the financial engineering that went into what we were doing was done by a very, very highly educated, highly skilled group of individuals that came out of all places, Nigeria. And if you listen to the conventional wisdom at times, whether it's Jamaica or Nigeria and certain other places, the only thing that comes out of those places are scams. But the truth of the matter is that just represents a small portion of a much larger population. And so all throughout the region, there's these really wonderfully educated, wonderfully trained, wonderfully experienced individuals. At the beginning of our conversation, I spoke of an anesthesiologist who was trained in Cuba, is Jamaican, but worked in the Cayman Islands. That's crisscrossing, 3 different countries with their level of skill. It provided the opportunity for them to do that and be a contributor, and that person is also a teaching position in a public hospital here.
Right.
So,
what does saying though? I mean, if you just look at those 3 nations, and if those who may choose to ascribe a different label, I'll use the word nation, independent or otherwise, that collaboration, that opportunity by one individual to be able to train and gain a level of not just expertise but experience on a global scale, that is from one region that is literally a stone's throw from each other, so that if there's a level of collaboration and cooperation, just like the European nations or the collaboration through the political and economic approach in North America or other markets, could we not have that level of success, innovation, and contribution to the world stage if we will find out how to work together as opposed to working against each other.
But it starts in part by oracles like you, because without you, how does the information get out and about as to how people can, in fact, connect with each other and collaborate?
Mm-hmm.
People come to the Caribbean for conferences all the time, and unless there is something that is very industry-specific or profession-specific that blocks you from attending, and these days so much is being done virtually, why not participate and learn something new?
That's something that is, sort of sparked my thought. In the absence of action, a voice is but an echo. So when we now, need to now move forward, willing to, as you said, be that voice, be that one that's calling for a sense of unity, but a sense of immediacy to act together so that we can leverage the resources. There is no question that the region, as has been divided in Latin America and the Caribbean, there are incredible resources within the people, within the physical landscape. Now it's just a matter of recognizing that and seeing, as you shared repeatedly, what others see from outside, and somehow we who are so close, fail to respect and recognize.
No question whatsoever.
Well, I appreciate you taking time. I appreciate you reaching out to our team here and maybe allowing us to take a fresh perspective and maybe put aside the politics, whether that's elected or otherwise, and to appreciate that, it takes that concerted, collective, consistent effort to bring about success, financial as well as social, through unification of, politics and economics, but also, a societal value. What would be your closing thoughts to our listeners?
To be disciplined. Nothing tends to happen overnight that lasts for any length of time. What I heard you talk about was creating legacy and creating things that can pass on through the generations.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's some people that want to just live for today and live in the moment. And yes, doing some of that is true. But there are also seeds that you plant today that somebody else comes along and waters. And then somebody else has the privilege of experiencing the beauty of what grew from that seed that was planted and somebody else watered.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to have that mentality in order for things to be successful.
Cathedral builders, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, because I think many of us listening today are probably, sadly, feeling a bit of despair, have become despondent, sadly even clinically depressed. Some have become so divided through, all the actions from their loved ones, following norms and protocols and expectations of the rules and regulations, and others have just become to a space where they feel a sense of hopelessness. Maybe when we extend a hand, we're offering hope to help each other, rise above the cause and meet, the next challenges. So I wish you continued success economically, but also socially.
Thank you, and I wish you the same, and I hope that the opportunity presents itself for us to communicate it again in the not-too-distant future.
I pray so, brother. Well, blessings to you and all the best. All right?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barkley. This is where I honestly believe sometimes, Mr. Barkley talked about being an oracle. Many look at it in some respects, but the idea is, are we prepared to be held accountable? Are we prepared to take action? Are we prepared to not just be responsible, but respectful? And as we move forward, how do we challenge our brother to, be better without admonishing, degrading, and denigrating, but by the same token, without rewarding mediocrity? Well, let's pause and take a break. I feel like being better. Help me. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands. The ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom. The land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
It's that time again to empty your coin jars and piggy banks. So Cayman, dig deep and give from the heart. Your loose change may not seem like much, but together as a community, we can use it to make a huge impact. Meals on Wheels is celebrating 25 years of serving the community, and you can help us to provide a hot meal to some of the most vulnerable members of our country, our seniors. And now, more than ever, we need your help to meet the increased demands. Whether it's Jangles or Foles, donate what you can when you see the Meals on Wheels volunteers stationed around Grand Cayman on January 28th and 29th. Join Cayman Islands Meals on Wheels, Davenport Development, and Radio Cayman in the fight to end senior hunger in the Cayman Islands. Visit www.mealsonwheels.ky or call 769-1974 to learn more.
You can now book and pay online for your certified lateral flow test at www.hsa.ky/appointment. It's fast, easy, and convenient. Certified LFTs are $25 per test per person. HSA's testing center is located at 131 Center, McClendon Drive, behind Foster's Airport. Walk-ins for certified LFTs are also available. Need a PCR test for travel? These are now only $75. Visit hsa.ky/appointment for more information.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. It is open line, and can't promise you, but I do try sometimes to listen, especially to good counsel. And given that yesterday was a public holiday, so you might think that today is your Monday. Well, we've defined the calendar, we've ascribed names to the months, we've even assigned days. We have organized and ordered the hours, minutes, and seconds of those days, so that for some reason, whether it's the resetting of the atomic clock or otherwise, we have 24 hours. So two things I want to ask of you as we go into this open line. But let me see if I can talk and listen to Miss Susan as she speaks to me. We'll see. She won't lose her point and she'll share with me. So two things, huh? First off, how do we use our time? How are we using our time? And then secondly, as we look at our time and it moves on, there are very few certainties. I would go to limit to say that one of them is the sun is going to rise and set. Pray to God that we are part of seeing it each day. I almost have to share that with a level of, how should I say, regret that I've only seen the blue flash, or is it the green flash? Which one is it, Miss Susan? Green or blue? Right? I've only seen it for the first time last year. When the sun sets, okay? She tells me it's a green flash. That was my test to make sure that I remember. I've only seen it for the first time last year, and I started a couple of times. That's because we actually take time to watch the sunset. Now you may say, well, that's a waste of time. And sadly, That's a perspective that many of us have. But in doing that, well, what do we see? Well, we may see something that we thought was a myth, something that we know because we believe the people who said they saw it, we trust them, but we've never seen it. And in doing that, what is that memory that we have now sort of formed? That bond, that friendship that we have forged and cemented. And in doing that, are we now more appreciative of the value of time and of life? No man, they say, is promised tomorrow. No man knows the hour nor the day. So how are we using that time? And to what purpose? Do we believe we're here on this, earth, as it were? Now, we don't have to be too pensive and, too, some would say, get up all in that, because it's just a little too deep. But we can. And if there are other things we want to talk about, let's do so. I would say that it's never the intent to offend, insult, not even incite, in terms of the way some would take it, that cause people to get up and to do a thing in a bad way. But if it's insightful, get you to be thoughtful and want to do something in a good way, and well, take it on board. But sometimes we as people, as parents, say and do things that we don't realize the impact on our children. We as people in a position of authority, without carefully stopping to reflect on our words and our actions, may not appreciate how they're perceived, how they may impact others. And then as politicians and policy advisors, sometimes more so than others, not because, as many have perhaps unfortunately ascribed, oh, you see them, they believe they know everything, they are arrogant. That's not the intent. Sometimes sadly it is, but that's not the intent. They want to do better. But in the absence of us helping them, they may think, well, this is the one thing. Now, when you offer something, two things happen. They either listen or they don't listen. And you can say, I told you so. Not the most effective use of your words and energy, but you can say that. That may make you feel good. But what if that thing you say and do actually makes it better and they listen and the thing is improved? But in the absence of action and a willingness to do because it needs to be done, and you're genuine, sincerely meaning to do better, wouldn't the outcome be that much more improved? So, much earlier today, of the individuals in the group, 2 stepped up and they said they're going to make a concerted effort because they have the opportunity to bend the ears of those in position of authority. Now, immediately, many of us immediately assume, oh, they're talking about politicians. Well, they may have been, but they made it very clear, not just the politicians, but the people who influence the politicians, even some of them. Why is it then that we have to believe that all the actions have to be either decided by the politicians or directed, guided, nurtured, so that the implementation is at the behest of the politician? We're supposed to live in a democracy. I say supposedly because some of us seem to think that what's the point of saying anything because nothing is going to happen. Well, then we've now imposed on ourselves a great limitation and restriction. And as a result of that, there may be a self-fulfilling prophecy. So the one primary discussion was government's debt. Not just this government, but government's debt and the debt to date. The notion that governments, in order to improve, extend, or somehow introduce new capital works, need to somehow get money to do that through taxes, through borrowings, through a combination of different things. And then the idea that the provision of services, the continuation or the introduction of new services, the payment of personnel for those services, the direct employees, the civil service, the contracted employees, and the like, those things have to be paid. Even if you had a fully voluntary, labor pool, as it were, you didn't have to pay for any the labor. You still need to pay for something. Somebody may donate some sand, somebody may donate some cement, some gravel, the blocks, and you're going to build a place. But that's going to be paid for in some way by someone. So there is, need for the either allocation or reallocation of resources. What economists talk about, the factors of production. Now, beyond that, where are we in our society? So one individual, she said, listen, she came up through a space where her grandmother used to talk about, her grandfather and his brothers being part of sort of a voluntary, fire service, policing, community initiative. And they lived in a particular small space and in a particular small town in a particular time of life where that was the order of the day. And something happened, and most of the men would go and do these things, and there would be, an expectation that you would volunteer. Over time, it evolved into a more structured volunteer, kind of like what we will see with the, auxiliary constables that are not paid. The idea that the community helps the community by being available to assist. Some of us may be familiar with jurisdictions where they're accustomed to natural disasters, mudslides, rock slides, different little things, and the community, male and female, all, are trained and are educated in the dangers of the mudslide, the rock slide at different times of year. This is what you do if it's happening. This is what you're looking for in case you can have a heads up so that it might potentially happen, and then you respond in this way. So, for instance, she said that in her particular area, they recognize that and you forgive me, my geography, I've never really got the full benefit of that class, probably because I didn't pay full attention. But they had to put up what I would call sort of nets, and as the rocks would slide down the hills and the mountains and whatever, it could make the roads impassable, the little tracks. And over time, they realized that those little nets really didn't do much. They needed to improve the quality of the nets to keep the boulders from blocking the roads when they slide. And even some would get through, and there would be a challenge to move them. And for a while, alternate paths had to be found, or there were significant delays. But they didn't wait. They understood over time, and they approached that with that level of knowledge and experience and that greater expertise. So with that in mind, the idea was, what can we do in the Cayman context? And I was asked, and I would like to share, not just because I was asked, but perhaps you may think it's absolutely beneficial. You may think, that's really a fairy tale. So join me. Correct, add to it, improve it, critique it. The view was, could we take those examples of our history in Cayman where, as a community, we helped each other? Take the launching of boats as we understood them. One person didn't pull up the boat on a aluminum trailer and back the truck down and launch the boat and went fishing, came back, and it was an exercise and an evening activity to celebrate now the boat's completion. She's going to be christened, and bamboo rollers were going to be positioned, and after much lively debate, she's going to be put in the water and take her maiden voyage. Now, effort in many instances to get that day to be a successful launch. So with that in mind, do you think we can do that once again? Not just launching the boats, but building the schools, educating our community, seeing that in our community there's a family that could benefit. Maybe it's one individual, maybe it's a mother with a few children. There may be a mother and a father, a blended family. Could be anything. Could be an elderly couple, it could be a young couple, it could be a middle-aged couple. But there's a need. Could we draw alongside and help without publicizing it and perhaps making people feel embarrassed, without the sense of asking for anything in return? Just help. It could be painting, it could be putting on a roof. Could we again do that without the expense of having to find money from everybody, especially the homeowners, without the individuals feel as if they're a charitable case? Because sometimes that seems to be a moniker that creates a sense of making people feel embarrassed and insulted and offended. So from that perspective, but what about asking, back to the notion of government's debt and borrowing, that the government, whether it's through the legislation, whether it's through the highest land law in the land, the Constitution, whether it's just the accepted norm, that the government cannot and should not be allowed nor expected to borrow or commit the country to any amount beyond a certain sum without some sort of approval. Not now going back for a referendum and sort of governing in that way, but because the actions of one can affect, many, and the actions of today can have consequences for tomorrow, for the next generation. And specifically, the notion that governments have committed the country to, hundreds of millions of dollars of debt, and successive governments from this one going forward will probably either A, do something similar in terms of borrowing, or B, be required to honor those commitments and repay those debts. Now, it may be your thinking is from the economic school that you subscribe to, whether it's that government should then spur on growth by borrowing and keeping the economy growing, or it may be by encouraging savings, or it may be that you manipulate interest rates that help companies and individuals to afford capital. Whatever your thoughts. So let's get into that, if you would. Now, we're going to pause quickly and ask you to stay on the line so we can hear from you. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Families are like branches on a tree. We grow in different directions, yet our roots remain deeply intertwined as one. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, has remained stable, strong, and deeply rooted in the community. The past 2 years have been very difficult, but they have taught all of us the value of family and embracing our loved ones. This 2022, Savannah Pharmacy encourages everyone to get in touch with your roots, embrace your heritage, show some extra love to your neighbor, and make the year a memorable one. Time is precious. Cherish it and those you love. Savannah Pharmacy, always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336 or WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
A couple means two. Whether it's your spouse, significant other, or bestie, couples who sweat together stay together. King Sports Center is offering a gym and bowling special this Valentine period. Get 2 annual Powerhouse gym memberships for $750 starting from February 6th and ending on the 14th. Receive a free self-defense class for 2 upon purchase. At Kingpin Bowling, couples can get 2 games and 2 glasses of wine for only $40. The bowling offer is from February 11th to the 13th only. For more info, call us at 946-5464. That's 946-5464. King's Sports Center, your second home for fitness and recreation, celebrating 20 years of service.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. There is some open line here, and it may feel like Wednesday, you may think it's still Monday, you might even not quite sure. Is it January? Is it 2022? Is it a new year, or is it 2020 all over again? Well, let's go to the phones. Hey, good afternoon, welcome, thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Captain. How are you doing?
Blessed and thankful, sir. How are you?
I'm okay. Enjoying the new year and, watch the birds flying by.
Well, I'm glad that you're able to do that, because sometimes we don't even make sufficient time to enjoy what life has to offer us, huh?
Yeah. We caught a fast train all of a sudden, and we don't know where to get off, really.
Well, that's the unfortunate part sometimes, I don't think that we appreciate that we are even on the fast train.
Yeah, we caught up in it's like a tsunami of different situations. Some of us don't have any time, and those that have time, well, their interest is not, a lot of them, their interest is not trying to preserve or even enjoy what nature offers us, you know.
Mm-hmm. So,
but I was thinking to myself, and not what we would say, not picking on anyone,
mm-hmm.
but just coming up through one of those tunnels. I don't think it's justified with the amount of light that's in the tunnel, because once you come out of the sun, which is like a laser, you go into the tunnel, the light is not the same.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see how that someone don't have the courage or the interest to try to say, well, you know, somehow, somewhere we should have sunlight into the tunnel,
mm-hmm.
which should have been done before it was constructed. You know? Yeah, the light is not the same, Sterling. It's a different kind of light. And once you drive into the tunnel, for a few seconds, your sight could be kind of diminished.
Why do you, I mean, I guess as you go from a very bright space into a dark space, your eyes have to adjust, and some adjust quickly, and some don't. I mean, you think of what we're told with those who work on submarines, you know, the increased use of vitamin E and the consumption of perhaps particular foods, helping them to cope in those dimly lit spaces. But what can we do to address that, given what you're sharing, that potentially that few hundred feet, I don't know how long it is again, those tunnels, but for that short distance, and the lights now I think are not as bright as they were initially, could be a driving hazard. How do we address that? How do we help people who, like you, have perhaps experience for that period of time, less than best visibility?
First of all, from my point of view,
mm-hmm.
you normally see tunnels in darker, colder climates,
mm-hmm.
where sometimes you don't see any sunlight at all. So you got lights out of the tunnel, lights in the tunnel. So it's like one thing right through. There's no vast, shocking difference of your sight from going out of daylight into a night light. How do you address it? My friend, I don't have the answer to that, and I will never try to, I wouldn't say I wouldn't try, but it is something that should be looked into, because if you're really not careful, if it's something up ahead, from my point of view, you could get in an accident, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you're not driving, watching the lane where you're going into, swerving into another lane accidentally, then it's definitely going to be your fault, because they're going to say you should have been able to stay in the lane, and it goes on, it never ends. But that's enough on that.
Okay.
Coming back now, what I would like to say, the seamen of Cayman, the merchant marines of Cayman, for so long I was thinking to myself, you know, we should have been completed, in other words, a good schooner constructed into the Cayman Islands. Nothing is being happened, and some of our history is going to be lost, you know, soon enough. Some of the older ones that will be go along and taking a lot of the history with them.
Mm-hmm.
We should have had something on the agenda right now not just the Heroes Day, but something while the Heroes Day is come and gone, it is still going on that, you know, we are doing something really constructive to catch up on our history and save part of our history and learn the younger ones our history.
How do we do that?
I'm sorry?
You are right in sharing that we should be not only encouraging but very actively promoting and ensuring that future generations, but those of us here and now, understand, appreciate, respect our history, and like you said, to be able now to share in it. We have particular occasions that we devote to certain celebrations, and I don't believe there are very few, if any, who would doubt not only the contribution but the incredible sacrifice of our seafarers. Even to this day, we see their financial as well as physical contributions to healthcare, to education, for instance. What do we do, not just to preserve that, but to show our appreciation for it?
So everyone could appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
We need, first of all, to locate a piece of property near enough to the shoreline, and it's not something that's going to come overnight, but you got to make a start and make a finish.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay? If you had a piece of land designated that we could say, all right, well, we're going to make a start, we're going to see what we can accumulate financial-wise, and get on with it, see if we can do something to remember the seamen and the presence that here in the future as well. Build a good schooner, and everybody, I'm sure, will appreciate it, especially if it is 3-4 years down the line or whatever. Once the day is for the launching, it's going to be a big thing, a real big thing. But we just can't sit down and talk about it. Somebody needs to really decide, well, let's make a move. You know?
Right. So
that's my little piece, unless you got something else to say.
No, I appreciate what you shared, and maybe that encouragement is what we need for somebody to, do something to make a move. Hey, thanks very much for that, sir. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon. One more call, Susan? All right, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling. How are you?
Very thankful, ma'am. How about yourself?
Oh, thankful too.
So glad to hear that.
Yeah. Sterling, Mr. Brian was on his live a couple of days ago in regards to these cars being all over the place and people taking parts off them and leaving the bodies there.
Mm-hmm.
The two that he was talking about, imagine we crossed then like one morning, and the next morning when we came back across, she was practically scrapped.
Quickly too, huh?
Yeah, and they took off what they want and leave the rest. You understand? And then someone wrote up there and said, "But people they pay for the dumping of these vehicles that they have." But that's beside the point, Sterling. Even if you pay them a government fee for these cars and batteries and whatever, I give you the right to park it elsewhere and let someone come and take what they want off it and let it be up for right to the island and the people. I mean, Sterling, this thing is happening throughout the whole island.
Mm-hmm.
We got private home yards now turning their yards into garage. Devaluing the next individual alongside of them. You know what I mean?
Right.
It is ridiculous.
Right. And potentially putting people's lives in jeopardy in terms of the hazard. We have the news break. Would you like to hang on and rejoin us after that, or would you prefer to call back? Because I think what you're sharing is important.
Hold on.
All right, well, thank you for that. And it's a good discussion, because is it a public nuisance? Is it that there are other prohibitive measures? Well, let's talk about it. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
19-year-old Aaron Jarvis put the Cayman Islands firmly on the international golfing map with an outstanding victory at the Latin America Amateur Championships in the Dominican Republic on Sunday. As one of the top Caymanian golfers, he was invited to play at Casa de Campo. Aaron finished strongly on the first day, tying 11th out of 102 players, achieving 2 under par in round 1 of the 4-day tournament. Turning to international news now, the Metropolitan Police have launched an investigation into parties held in Number 10 during the coronavirus pandemic. Commissioner Cressida Dick said they were looking into potential breaches of COVID-19 regulations in Downing Street and Whitehall since 2020. Boris Johnson told the Commons he welcomed the investigation as it would give the public the clarity it needs over the allegations. His spokesman also said the PM did not believe he had broken the law. At least 19 people have died after a karaoke bar in Indonesia's West Papua was set ablaze following a brawl between rival gangs of youths in the area. Police in the provincial capital of Sorong said on Tuesday one person was fatally stabbed in the fight early on Tuesday before the venue was set on fire, with 18 people trapped inside, a police official said. And the world's biggest, most powerful space telescope arrived at its observation post 1 million miles from Earth on Monday, a month after it lifted off on a quest to behold the dawn of the universe. On command, the James Webb Space Telescope fired its rocket thrusters for nearly 5 minutes to go into orbit around the sun at its designated location, and NASA confirmed the operation went as planned. Those are your latest headlines. I'm Shanda Gallego.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky. This is how we wake you up in the morning. Praise time on Radio Cayman. Praise time.
Jesus in the morning. I will. So send me, Lord. I will go.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And appreciate the caller for, not just being patient, but allowing us to be able to delve more into the discussion. Hey, thank you very much for holding on, Mom.
Yes, sir.
And for those who are listening, you're talking about people, using their yards, for, commercial, industrial purposes, car repairs, and painting. So share with us.
Yes, Sterling. Like I'm saying, this island is too small for the things that's happening here. Everything just let loose, and everybody's doing their own thing.
A free for all.
And that, you know what I mean? And it's not right. It's just we just keep losing the value of this island on a daily basis, with people not caring how the island looks. Since COVID, it's even worse.
So
even worse.
Let me ask you, why do you think it would seem like either A, it's a free for all. B, we turn a blind eye to things. What is it that is happening, and why is it happening that we're seemingly, as you said, taking less pride in allowing some things to happen in some places by some people?
Sterling, I know we have had our own mechanics here many years ago. And let me tell you something, when you went to their garage, it wasn't like what you're seeing today. Believe me. I mean, you take a drive down and the dump road, and go to the left before you get to where the dumpster is to do the dumpsters, the garbage, right? Sterling, down in there, it is neck to neck with damaged cars and cars that I guess has no more value. You go on Sound Road itself there before you get to L. Thompson. There's a garage there. It is a sore eye. And I don't know why people sit down and make people come into their neighborhood and allow these things, because I am quite sure you have some say at some point in time.
Right. So is it a problem then that A, there's a lack of enforcement from whomever, whether it's the authorities, whatever we define that as, or B, as you said, the community for allowing these things to happen? Or is it that plus or the notion that as a community we are no longer having a sense that these things matter? We probably would have heard our parents say cleanliness is next to godliness, and so now in order to go along, to get along, to survive and to succeed, we got to do whatever, whenever and however, because if not, we're gonna not survive. So is that part of the thing, the values are just going down because, we don't care for values anymore?
Yes, Sterling, it's the law and it's the neighbors. We get some people who get to the point now that they don't care. But let me tell you one thing, Sterling. I care. And as long as my eyes are open, I am going to complain about it, because, Sterling, I have never seen Cayman look like this in my lifetime coming up as a kid. What do you think at this age now to see how it has gone out of control? We got laws and regulation. Nothing is being enforced. I see you can't even drive at night for the car lights are blinding you. They got pink, they got blue, they got green, you name it, and under the bottom is lit up, and your eyes is like dangling. You don't know where to look. You don't know if you're even driving on the road straight anymore, because then it is so much distraction on the road. And these people that is turning their private yards into mechanic yards, it needs to be stopped, because it is devaluing. It's a disgrace to the neighborhood. And certainly I could just go on and on and on. People just don't care no more. And the Lord needs to step in and say, you know what? This is a residential area. In a residential area, we got people who are renting rooms in their homes and apartments and their homes, and the cars are parked in the road. All that need to get under control, Sterling. There's nowhere in the world that we are hurting that much financially in Cayman that we got to make a rental control our road and a mechanic make our neighborhood look like a junk neighborhood. And nobody's saying anything. They're whispering at the dinner table, but yet they're afraid to go and approach their neighbors. No.
Well,
they can't take me down.
I appreciate what you're sharing. Let me share two things in the same issue. One, a call just quickly while we were doing the news break, and one a message that's coming through. Both seemingly, and I'll take it on the premise, I don't know the individuals, but take it that they're not the same person sending the message our way. Both sharing that they have had a similar experience in their neighbor, whether the cars parking all over the streets, whether somebody doing border work, mechanics and the like. And both have said, and I refer mostly to the phone call, that they've called police, Department of Environmental Health, they've called planning, they even called the fire department, and nobody seems to know who it is that is responsible for doing something. And one partner was told that, well, it's not really not us. I mean, we can't do anything. So is that the problem? That is not that nobody wants to do anything, is that they're not quite sure who is to do it and how to do it?
Well, Sterling, if that's the case, They need to put something in writing that they can do something, because this is foolishness.
Okay.
It's just like the guys on the road with the motorbike.
Well,
up in the air. The bicycles up in the air.
Okay.
They have, I understand they don't have to have no license or no insurance and yakety yak.
But why is that?
Why is that?
Yeah.
Why what are we becoming?
But then
we are here pleasing everybody.
Yeah.
And
is it then though? I recognize that we're trying to be as accommodating, as civil, and as amenable. But if we are to be a civil society, we kind of need to be respectful to our impact on each other. So go back to your substantive point relative to, somebody is not just helping him or herself by doing a little work on the yard or on the house or in the car, but now is actively operating a business.
Mm-hmm.
If that person was in a properly regulated and licensed area, they would have to comply with health and safety regulations, for argument's sake. But even think of it, and again, I'm not a mechanic, nor do I spray cars and work on them, but I'm thinking, your car's in the yard, you're banging out a dent, you're going to paint the car, so you're doing I don't have to use Butterfill anymore, but they're fixing it, they're going to sand it, they're going to spray it. Potentially, that spray could go onto the neighbor's yard, into the neighbor's car. The noxious fumes could be hazardous to the person doing the work, plus others around, plus the plants, plus the dogs, the cats, and the other pets.
I'm glad you said that. Because just a couple of weeks ago, it was happening next door to me. And there was spraying, and when they saw my face expression, they're like, oh my God, I guess I'm doing something wrong. Which they're not doing something wrong, And Sterling, and also I want to say, we got a new government now, and they're doing the talk, but they need to do the walk with it. Brian came out the other day and said what he's going to do, but I'm looking forward to see what he's going to do. But Sterling, this garbage pickup got to be changed.
Okay.
It has to change. It's once a week is not enough, and they got to penalize these people for not putting this garbage out properly, Sterling. And once a week is not enough, especially for the neighborhoods. Believe me, I don't know what their plans are, but they got to do something.
But why is it once a week not enough?
Sterling, well, farming has grown, and people got homes in their house rented. They got apartments on their house and so forth.
Okay.
So the garbage is accumulating, and once a week is not enough.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I think to two occasions. One, just in Florida, and one in some part of England, specifically not just UK but in England, where I'm told in Florida, I think I'm pretty close to 100% certain, they collect once every 2 weeks, right? And in that time, you have to accumulate your garbage in a certain way. And when you put it out, now I don't know if that's the particular neighborhood, whether that's the particular ordinance of the town. I honestly don't know. But there are seemingly very strict requirements, and there's expectation of recycling and the like. Now, why I'm saying is that you might be right. Maybe it should be daily collection. Maybe it should be once a month. Maybe it should be twice a week. But is there more that we as individuals can do with respect to how much we put out that goes to the dump? Is it how we buy things? Is it how we package, and how do we prepare our garbage? And even if it's once a week or twice a week or once a day, maybe we need to consider when we package it up, put it out in a trash can for collection. How are we doing that? Is it safe for the garbage collector? Is it put in a way that reduces as much of the garbage, get as much into that bag as possible?
Well, Sterling, garbage is garbage. Okay? And when it's time to be picked up, it should be bagged properly. And they know we got chickens and dogs that hell left, right, and center. We used to have a twice a week pickup, and they cut that out for the last couple of years. I don't know what we're going to do, Sterling, but having all these laws on the book and they're not being used, and getting all these new governments every 4 years and not working, I mean, we might as well just hang loose by yourselves.
Can I maybe read two things for us, right? One, speaking specifically to this whole issue about the garbage, and some listeners weighed in and shared, maybe we should look at enforcing and penalizing the owners and the rental properties for not doing what they're supposed to do properly, and ways in the share that perhaps recycling isn't being done the way it's advertised, and that's why potentially there's so much garbage, right? One shares that they're able to put out one bag every week because of the attempt at recycling. The other thing, in your earlier point about the garages and stuff, someone says they've been talking about this recently on social media. But as a related point, someone raised in to share that just like the people doing body work and car repairs and stuff, what about the people who are also selling food from the back of their cars and their trunks and the like? Where is the regulation in health and safety? But are those people, like the mechanics and the car repair and the painting, are they at a competitive advantage because there are no licensing fees, there are no inspection, so you've potentially putting people at risk, but then you also put them in a place where they can be more competitive because they don't have to pay the fees.
Exactly. Since you said that about food, let me say something to you. Last week I was out by the hospital, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this gentleman came in selling some green. And he came through the security, he came through the reception area, and he went all the way back to the nurse's station trying to sell this green that he got cut up in a bag. And I'm like, excuse me, to myself.
Mm-hmm.
So then when I came out now, he was on the other side of the hospital selling stuff. And then he went to his van and started sorting out the I don't know what was the green leaves. Do I call them big leaves? I can't call it callaloo, whatever, something in that category.
Okay.
So when I drive across him now, I said, sir, you just came out of the hospital and here you are handling your callaloo without any gloves or anything. Oh, me sanitize my hand. I said, that's beside the point. If you sanitize your hand just in the hospital, you should. If you're going to fit a can, you can't sort this out. At least you would have gloves on to try to encourage people to buy your goods from you. Me sanitize my hand, ma'am. Me sanitize my hand. And I'm like, walk right into the hospital, straight back to the nurse's station to sell his green. And security and nobody never tell him he couldn't go back to Sterling. Undespicable.
Okay.
Undespicable the way the things are being handled here in Cayman. Not because it is so safe that you must take everything for granted. Because one day we got to become unsafe, Sterling. And me and you got to pay for it.
Well, this is where I think, as you share, maybe people will hear your plea and your passion and perhaps purposely do something for protection. Thank you very much for your thoughts, Mom.
You're welcome. You have a good one.
And to you as well. All right, let's pause and take that break. Let me see if I can rustle up some chocolate without feeling the flavor for that dark chocolate and sea salt once again. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Families are like branches on a tree. We grow in different directions, yet our roots remain deeply intertwined as one. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, has remained stable, strong, and deeply rooted in the community. The past 2 years have been very difficult, but they have taught all of us the value of family and embracing our loved ones. This 2022, Savannah Pharmacy encourages everyone to get in touch with your roots, embrace your heritage, show some extra love to your neighbor, and make the year a memorable one. Time is precious. Cherish it and those you love. Savannah Pharmacy, always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336 or WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045.
You, members of your family or household, could be required to isolate at a moment's notice. Ensure that you have stocked enough food, water, prescriptions, and sanitary items to last for 14 days. Have a plan if living arrangements require adjustments, and remember that all deliveries must be contactless. For more information on how to prepare and the support services available, visit www.gov.ky/coronavirus.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And it's open line here on this Tuesday edition of Talk Today as we go straight to the phones. Good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling.
Hi. How are you today?
I am okay. I just called to say hooray to Miss Jan.
Mm-hmm.
The topic she was on just now,
Mm-hmm.
Sterling, about the cars being fixed in the front yard of the neighbors. And they're parking on the sides of the road.
Mm-hmm.
Just recently there was an incident. One of the neighbors' kids came home from school by bus, and they were unable to get through to put that child off by the gate. For the longest, they were there parked, the school bus, you know.
Mm-hmm.
These cars, it's ridiculous in Northward, and I have been fighting that same thing for years now.
Wow.
I've been to planning. I even called DEH.
Okay.
I was trying to find who could help with all this. I said, there is one right in front of me. He is doing stuff. He's letting the oil out of the cars right in the road.
Wow.
The road is messy. I mean, it's ridiculous how the place is.
Wow.
And there is nothing. All it tells you, we're not in charge of that. We don't know who. But I really spoke to Miss Brady. You know what department she's in. I spoke to her, and I told her it was affecting me. They let the car oil out, and I am we're button bind. And the oil is destroyed. That side of my property, nothing grows there, hardly grass.
So it's groundwater
so
too?
much oil,
Yeah.
so much oil is there, right?
Wow.
And nothing is done about it. So tell Miss, I guess she's listening. Miss Jan, whatever you can do, and you need help, you can get me. We can get together and we can find out what we need to do in order for the government to help us to get these people to go where they need to go to do business, such as painting and fixing cars.
Right. Well, I appreciate you sharing because, and I don't think anybody right this second anyway is intending to offend anybody, but to address something that is maybe a health concern or at least an eyesore, perhaps affecting the quality of life, and that should be even important. But you just said publicly what I relayed from two people who sent it in sort of off air. They called this department, that department, just asking about who to ask. And it's the same thing that they said, I said, that you said, that is being said, that nothing's happening. But remember that road, forgive me, I thought it was called Redgate Road. It's the one that goes from the road here by North Sound that goes leading to the airport, Water Authority. And remember some time ago, I know the gentleman, he identified himself, but I won't necessarily draw attention. But as a taxi and tour operator, he said, he bringing tourists through there, and there were apparently a lot of derelict vehicles along that road, and his constant call to get it addressed eventually resulted. Now, it might have been an opportune time because we were getting close to the elections. I don't know. He got it, like with others. So is this what we need to do? Not that people mean to be nasty, not that people need to be offensive, not that they mean to do something that they don't know any better, but maybe it's that they need a little guidance, maybe they need a little correction, maybe they just need a little... No?
No, Sterling. They know better.
Okay, well, you probably know, right? Yes.
They know better.
So let's get it fixed then.
What you need, what it's really what she said about our leaders. We just got some new ones. They knows everything that's going on. We actually, where we're at, our leader lives right in here. He knows what's going on. And nothing is being done. These people are just allowed to make Cayman look so untidy. Yeah? It looks like a ghetto. What you call a ghetto? Yes, a garrison. This is what they're making our country to be. And us Caymanians, we're not used to that. Or not only us Caymanians. Well, the people that come along and join with us and means well, they are like us. But there are some that come here and they don't care.
Okay.
So they just make the place look untidy.
So, in your sharing, I'm thinking sometimes we are polite and don't want to offend. Sometimes maybe we're a little bit afraid. Maybe as I relate to a call sometime back that said, listen, I spoke to the neighbor and this was the response. I spoke to the police and this was the response. So then do we just give up because, you know what, it seems to be futile? But you're encouraging us that if it's not right, let's make it right.
Yes, we need to make it right. If we need a group together, we need to. And I will group. I will go out there because guess what? This is my island. This is my island. I cannot sit back and allow you to come here and destroy my country. No, this is not the way we live. This is not who we are.
But should we not take pride in where we are, irrespective if that is a space that we've been there for generations or we've only been there for a short time? I mean, what is it? And I say this, what they tell us, you don't do in the kitchen what you do in the bathroom. So should we not take pride in where we are?
No, this is not their country and they don't care.
Well.
They do not care. But you and I, a few Caymanians, because guess what? You remember when Ivan hit? Remember who was left back here? Us Caymanians were left back here, and the few of who we had living here that stayed with us, we consider them Caymanians because they joined with us. They stayed with us.
So how do we then get to that space where we're unifying all of us, that we get to appreciate that even if we're here in our minds, because this is where we can make a lot of money, it's safe, it's good for the family, it's better than the next option while we're here. How do we get all of us who are here to now buy into making here as best as it can be, certainly better than what it is now? What do we need to do to bring us all to that table that we unify and strengthen? The three-strand cord is stronger than the single strand?
I don't know if we can get there. I don't know if we can get there because right now Caymanians are a minority. And we're the one who are trying to correct this thing. And there's not much we can do. As I said, tell Miss Jan, if she can help find what we need to do, we will do it. If we even have to get together, hire legal help to get it done, let's do it. Let's get out there. Let's get out there and take our Cayman Islands back. When you look at cleanliness. Some of them yards are ridiculous. I can't believe it. Yeah.
Here's a suggestion that just came in off here. Person messaged and hesitated, but let me share. They say we use social media for all sorts of things. Take pictures and post it. But may I add, take pictures and send it to the requisite government agencies. Not to bombard them, nor to be belligerent, but say, hey, this is documentation of what we're seeing. And we send it to everywhere so that, if nothing else, posterity records that one citizen or a group of citizens thought that this thing was improper. I'm reminded also that a comment from off air saying that the government is also losing revenue from these activities that are not licensed. Someone shares that if it's public roadways, not only is there a health hazard, but then there's added costs that the government comes along to have to maintain those roadways. And now, I'm sure people are cognizant of what is being said, but like you, they may be scratching their heads and go, well, what do we do? How do we do it? Well, let's see if we can collectively find a way.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
frustrating, no?
We need help. That's all I'm. This is crying out for help. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see if we can work together so that we don't just embarrass people, insult and offend them, but we get them to appreciate that sometimes what we're doing isn't the best way to do it, and there may be an alternative. So keep it actively engaged and in the forefront, and I'm pretty sure there'll be a very positive resolution. All right?
Okay.
Well, keep us posted, please. All right? Thanks.
Okay, Sterling. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for sharing. All right. One more call, Miss Susan? All right, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Mr. Ramos speaking. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, man. How are you?
Boy, head and straight, man. Thank God alive, you know. Keep on blessed.
Yeah, man, brother. Amen.
So, give me 2 minutes, right? Any time relax, though?
Yeah, man.
There.
Go right ahead, man. Go right ahead. Wow, is that time already?
Getting there. Getting there. You got to run off around time out. So then, differently, right? I've voted for 2005, right? I want to get the one. So that way, I have the privilege, liberty, to talk when I feel like. You feel that? I go there all the time, right? Differently, Sterling.
Uh-huh.
Came on. Politics, right? It's sentimental dilemma, right? Chart is deep.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Belief, value, or morals. You got, bro? So, right now, Sterling display, right? You code it, it's systematic. Pandemic, Barack assessed. Inflation price, whatever, and however, contrary down the line.
Mm-hmm.
So then, listen, I'm not anti-vaccine or science denial. Like, it's up to the individual to know cleanliness, that's the godliness, you know, proper way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, contrary to what's done, I mean, no, almost 20 months now, like 4 months prior, for 2 years now, the WHO, the World Health Organizations, consider recommend the herb thing. Israel behind it too. Israel at that time era. So, listen, in politics, there are pathological layers. You understand? Who suit up, you know, spend $3 grand, $4 grand on a suit. You understand? Understand? Wherever. That's specific here. But like I said, they're pathological layers. They're probably on a fool. So, the point you make now, this is a pandemic Barack is selling worldwide, globally. Right? Despite what vaccine money making wherever. But I think in depth for that now. My topic is the herb thing. You know the herb thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some people may be against it. Right? And some agree with me. Majority agree with me. Majority. And who not in that lane of lifestyle, agree with me.
Mm-hmm.
You know? One of the hypocrites disagree with me. And that's very seldom. So, came on certain week February next week, the first, wait, Robert Day, came on politics, politicians, the parliament, get that together. The opposition are watching, you don't know the big government, or the opposition will give power, you UK that's sleeping. When we sleeping, 5-6 hours ahead, they plotting. So, get that together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
You is the better. You want something?
No, man, listen to you, man. I like you.
Yeah, actually, stop that. I don't know.
No, man. You wrapping it up, man. You take this home today. All right?
Yeah, so more time, right? Take yourself, but
blessings, man. Blessings. More love. In the caller, that call is sort of, get your life in order. The governments here and everywhere, they're getting their acts together. But as a community, how do we draw alongside each other to strengthen? They say there's strength in unity. There is a notion that when we look constructively, proactively, and positively at what we can do to improve the lot of others, it actually improves ours. A simple notion. If in your neighborhood you maintain your house and your yard and you let it look good, then that makes the neighborhood look good, and that may inspire others to do the same. Now, that house that is unkept for whatever reason, maybe it's been abandoned, maybe for whatever reason the people aren't as attentive, it will stand out. And we use the words like, oh, that's an eyesore. It does happen. But if we draw alongside that person to figure out why it is, it may be that financially they can't afford. Maybe they just don't have the skill set to do it. Maybe they are physically unable. It could be different reasons. And if the first approach is in love and kindness to help improve it, then the outcome might be better. Now, there are many ways to approach things, and sometimes doing so in love may give us, a better outcome. They say you catch more flies with honey. I would rather not catch flies, but to put the honey in my coffee and sweeten the day. But again, we have to have a sense of positive action. Well, tomorrow, we want to invite you to be part of a discussion. One of the discussions at the end of the program will be, about the injections and the like. So we're going to learn more about that. I think it's Wednesday. Looking forward to have Mr. Art in the morning share with us. We'll learn a lot and we'll join alongside him. So please join him for the record. I'm going to ask Miss Susan to do what she always does between 2:30 and 3. Let's play some of the best easy listening afternoon music. If you're looking for a siesta as you're rocking your hammock, as you're looking for something that causes you to think pensively, well, you just need to listen. Keep your radio tuned right here to Radio Cayman. Until tomorrow, my friends, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.